Okay. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another Thomas Apologia video. Now, if you don't know why I'm wearing this ridiculous-looking face mask, you can ask my audience. You guys have voted for me to go back to doing content with my face in it, even though I wear this crazy face mask. But anyway, in today's video, we will be reacting to Mr. Muhammad Hijab saying some ludicrous statements about the Trinity in his discussion with Dr. Jordan Peterson. With that being said, let's roll the clip.
One of the things that you said one time in the Maps of Meaning, you started off the book by saying, when you were a young lad, I don't know how young you were, you said that you found the doctrines of Christianity incomprehensible and absurd, yeah? And you also said that you found you had some kind of issue with Christianity because of the Genesis narrative and how incongruent it was with scientific narratives. You went to a pastor, you said, or a church cleric or something, and then you left the church. Now, I've got a question. Do you still have the same position, or have you changed your position?
Well, I've changed my position a lot. I was only 13 then, you know, and I was caught up in the battle, you know, insofar it was manifested in me when I was 13. I was caught in the battle between Enlightenment rationality and traditional narrative belief. I had no idea how to reconcile those two things.
Do you feel like you can do that now?
I'm doing my best to reconcile.
So let me be
yes,
more
and I think, well, I certainly can do it a lot more than I did when I was 13.
Let me give you an example, right? This point, when you were 13, I think you were thinking straight. I'll be sorry to be very straight.
It's hard to believe that someone is disagreeable with you as you would manage that.
Because someone with an IQ of 180 or whatever you have, someone of your intelligence. When you were 13, you probably had an IQ of, I don't know, 120 or something, yeah? So.
Okay, so first of all, before I let the clip keep rolling, I gotta commend Muhammad Hijab for his dawah tactics here. They sometimes have this tactic where to evangelize to someone, they will suck up to them as much as they can. And Muhammad Hijab is glazing and buttering up Jordan Peterson more than Paul Heyman does to Brock Lesnar.
Diabolical, the most dangerous, a beast slayer, a conqueror's conqueror, the goat of all goats, so that they say at the end of the match, the ultimate needle mover, the head of the table, the tribal chief, in God mode himself.
You were operating like my friend over here, Ali Dawah, so it's on his level, at the age of 13. But what I was going to say was that, you know, the reason why I think he was, because look at the Trinity, for example. Look at the schisms. Now, this goes to your specialism. The idea of three all-powerful entities, that Jesus is all-powerful, that the Father is all-powerful, the Son is all-powerful, and the Holy Spirit is all-powerful, but there's not three all-powerfuls, there's one all-powerful. You have one ultimately willing being, which is a person, which is Jesus, and then another person, which is ultimately willing, which is the Son. The Quran says about this, it says, مَا اتَّخَذَ اللَّهُ مِنْ وَلَدٍ وَمَا كَانَ مَعَهُ مِنْ إِلَهٍ إِذًا لَذَهَبَ كُلُّ إِلَهٍ بِمَا خَلَقَ وَلَعَلَ بَعْضُهُمْ عَلَى بَعْضٍ. In chapter 23, verse number 91, it says that Allah has not taken any son, and he did not have any creator with him. Had that been the case, they would have stripped one another for what they would have competed and tried to outstrip one another for power. Meaning this idea of three all-powerful persons is unintelligible to say the least.
You're hiding, boy. You're hiding.
Then they disagree with each other. Can you do it? Yes. So imagine your right hand, but two of them. Can they do it? Fingers.
Can.
And the other one, just over 4 fingers.
They.
The other one. I'm waiting.
Differ.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, if you were expecting Muhammad Hijab to attack the classical tradition of the Trinity that Christians actually hold to, you would be incorrect. Of course, he's going to attack a strawman version of it because he's speaking with Jordan Peterson, someone that's not studied in triadology. And I don't blame Jordan Peterson for not knowing these things. He's not even a Christian himself. However, Muhammad Hijab strawmans the Trinity here. Instead, he attacks the modern conception of social Trinitarianism, which is held by people like William Lane Craig, who he will actually be debating soon. So if you want to destroy that conception of the Trinity, Muhammad Hijab, I would commend you. Please do so. Please continue your great work in doing so. But for those who classically hold to the doctrine of the Trinity, one, We do not believe that there are three all-powerful attributes in the Trinity. We believe that all-powerfulness is proper to the one divine nature of the Trinity, and the persons are not each three instantiations or instances of the divine nature. However, they are identified with the divine nature and not instances of it. So that's mistake and straw man number one. Straw man number two is when you want to say that there is three volitional wills in the Trinity, and that this would lead to the possibility of the persons stripping each other for divinity and having a fight. The problem here is Trinitarians, at least classical Trinitarians, don't hold to there being three wills in the Trinity. There is one. Now, the reason why he's probably coming to this is because he's reading social Trinitarian literature, which defines a person as a center of self-consciousness. However, if you go with the Boethian and the classical tradition as to what a person is just an individual substance of a rational nature, which doesn't imply that the persons have to have free volitions in the Trinity. Now, with that being said, this question is as ridiculous as me saying, who would win in an arm wrestle, Allah's right hand or Allah's right hand? Well, that question would presuppose a bunch of things that Muhammad Hijab doesn't believe about God's two right hands, as he would put it. Namely, that they have two separate volitions, which Trinitarians don't believe in. So this argument from the Quran against the Trinity fails miserably.
The idea that Jesus Christ exhibits two natures. I know that there are schisms and there's difference of opinion among Christians, but the fact that you have this human nature where Jesus is walking and he sees the tree and he can't eat from the tree, he doesn't know that the tree is in season or not, or that he doesn't know when the hour is, or whatever it may be. The Quran says it very clearly. كَانَا يَأْكُلَانِ الطَّعَامِ. Him and his mum used to eat food. This proposition that they're limited and unlimited at the same time is it's a contradiction. It's an affront to logic.
Okay, so Muhammad Hijab makes another very interesting claim. His claim is that Jesus in the incarnation is unlimited and limited at the same time, and he ate food, so he can't be God, right? So if we were to say premise one, God doesn't eat food, premise two, Jesus ate food, conclusion, therefore Jesus can't be God. However, I feel that there's a bait and switch going on here when we're talking about the divine nature and the human nature. Yes, the subject, Jesus, does eat food. We can say God ate food. But he doesn't do this according to the divine nature. He does this according to the human nature. Now, the question should be is, if a subject has two natures, can it have an apophatic and a cataphatic predication of the same sort of attribute, which would seem to contradict each other? Consider this analogy that the fathers actually use. St. Cyril uses this, right? So, for example, I'm a material person in that I have a body. You can touch Thomas Apologia. However, the problem with this is I also have an immaterial soul. And these things are predicated of the same subject, Thomas Apologia. So notice the apophatic statement, Thomas Apologia is immaterial, and the cataphatic statement, Thomas Apologia is material. Now, these two things would seem to negate each other such that we have a P and not P contradiction. But the obvious problem here is that it's not a true contradiction because immateriality is predicated of my soul and materiality is predicated of my body, which are two distinct things, although the same subject, Thomas Apologia, has them. Now, similarly, in the incarnation, if we understand contradictions in this sense, we can know that it's not a contradiction because they don't relate in the same sense. So, for example, when we say that God is unlimited, we're predicating this of the divine nature. And when we say Jesus is limited or Jesus ate food, this is something he does according to the human nature, although this can be said of the same subject. So no contradiction truly exists here, unless Muhammad Hijab would like to say that human ontology itself is a contradiction.
This will cause you cognitive dissonance, because if you want to be a rational actor and you want to
be... that's the thing.
Yeah.
I don't want to be a rational actor.
But you do when you do your scientific experiments.
That's true.
So why'd you separate the two things?
Because rationality should be subordinated to something above it. And I'm trying to subordinate myself to that.
And with the conclusion of the clip, Jordan Peterson says that he doesn't want to be a rational actor. Now, this is because he thinks that God is beyond logic in some sense. Whilst I do agree that we can't fully apprehend or comprehend everything about God, I would disagree that we can't apply some logical principles towards further understanding God. For example, in St. Thomas Aquinas' First Way, we can negate some things that could be said about God, namely that God has passive potency, and we can understand that God must be purely actual, granted we predicate these things of God in an analogical sense. But with that being said, I think that we should seek to be rational, so we can at least agree with Muhammad Hijab in some part of this video, but the part we're going to vehemently disagree with him on is him saying the Trinity is irrational, because as I have demonstrated in this video, his criticisms do not work for the Trinity. But with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, if you did enjoy my content, please comment down below if you would like my content to be faced with my face in it, or without it and you enjoy the previous content. With that being said, please like, subscribe, and consider becoming a member with the link down below in the description. God bless.